I'm Joe Hocking. I'm the author of Unity in Action, which is the book from Manning about teaching how to use Unity. The camera's over there, my computer screen's over here. But anyway, the the book I wrote, Unity in Action, teaches how to use Unity to people who already know how to program but are new to Unity itself. And so I'm going to here, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to bring up right now just so that you all can see the link. As a matter of fact, what I've highlighted there, I don't know, I'll make it bigger, at some point in the stream, but text display, can I make it zoom in? Okay. Zoom in. Oops. Anyway, so that book, I'm currently wrapping up, working on the third edition of the book so that it'll be completely updated for the latest version of Unity. You can already go on the website and pick it up for early access, the MEEP program, Manning's Early Access. And there's this discount code, Watch Hocking 40, which you could put in to, get a discount when you purchase it. So what I'm going to be talking about tonight is basically going what chapter 10 of the book is about. That's internet communication in Unity. Not everybody who when they come to Unity, when they first start using Unity, realize that you can communicate with the internet in the same way that you're used to in a web application or something of that nature. In other words, you can make HTTP requests, you can make GET requests, or you can post data, that kind of thing. Because Unity is a game development tool, some people don't realize or don't necessarily think about, the kind of, getting of data that I'm talking about, just downloading data from the internet. So I'm going to go over how to do that. The plan is basically, I'm just going to start showing how to get some data. Then I'm going to show how to post some data. The plan is to also download an image. Ultimately, I don't know if we're actually going to cover everything that I have planned, mostly because, this stream is only supposed to be like a half hour long or something. But yeah, we'll just see how far I get, and we'll go from there. Incidentally, just go figure. Even though this stream has been scheduled for a couple months now, and I've been feeling fine that entire time. Wouldn't you know it? The night that I'm doing this stream is when I get a cold. So I apologize in advance if I have to shut off the camera in order to blow my nose or something like that. So anyway, let's get started here. So first step actually is to explain something called coroutines in Unity before I even get to the web requests themselves, because coroutines are something that, again, if you're new to Unity, then they're going to be kind of a weird concept. Long story short, coroutines are a way for here, let me go back to the screen also, because it's got the discount code there. Coroutines are a way for to basically have a function that instead of executing all at once, all in one go, it actually sort of pauses its execution mid-run, and then you can do other stuff, come back to it, and it'll just sort of pick up where it paused. And coroutines are useful for lots of different purposes. I mean, there are lots of reasons why it would be useful to pause in the midst of execution of a function. You would pause for a certain time period, like pause this function for a second or whatever. Another place, however, that coroutines are very useful is making web requests, because you can just you can have a function that sends a request and then just kind of pause until that request completes. Obviously, that's similar in idea to making asynchronous web requests, like you might already be familiar with. Technically, coroutines aren't asynchronous. Technically, they are synchronous, but it's just sort of like their execution pauses while the program does other things, and then it, gets back to the function. But anyway, so I'm going to launch Unity now to show you what I'm talking about, to show you a coroutine action. So, all right, the first step here is I'm going to Unity Hub, and I'm going to add a new project. Oops, sorry, not. That's the button to add an existing project. I want to create a new one. So this is a new project. Incidentally, I'm using Unity 2019.4. That's the LTS version. Everything I'm doing should work fine in the latest LTS as well, 2020 LTS. I'm going to be upgrading my own setup to start using that pretty soon. I just haven't yet because, again, I started writing the book before 2020 LTS was available. And so I just kind of want to finish with the version I started with. And then I'm going to update everything in the book to 2020 LTS, right, as a last step before it goes to print. So anyway, all right, let's make a new project here. I'm just going to call the project, I don't know, web requests, and I'll just make it a 3D project. That's fine. And so now that I've hit it, the create project button, I'll just wait for Unity to do its thing before a project appears. Here's Unity. I'm just going to create a new script here. I'll just create coroutine test. I'll just call this coroutine test, just sort of as an initial thing, and let me double click it to open up Visual Studio, to open up my script in my IDE. I'm using Visual Studio. I'm on a Mac, incidentally, in case you can't tell. Everything I'm doing, of course, is, I shouldn't say of course, but everything I'm doing works just fine on Windows as well. And of course, then, if you were on Windows, you wouldn't be using Visual Studio for Mac. You'd be using, Visual Studio on Windows or Visual Studio Code or something like that. But anyway, now in order to use the whole coroutine thing I was talking about, so it's based on something called an interface called IEnumerator. So I'm going to make a new private function, because I don't need to call this particular function from outside the class. IEnumerator, and I'll call this, I don't know, my coroutine. Great. And all right. The reason it's showing, the little squiggly red lines for an error is because coroutines require, they have to yield at some point. And so since I haven't written a yield line yet, the IDE is telling me like, oh, there's an error in this function. But yield is the real magic with a coroutine. That's basically the yield command. The yield keyword tells Unity when it's running, like this is where to pause the function and then, pick up again, next frame. So, all right, oops, I misspelled that, but anyway, yield, return, I don't know, let's pause this one for, wait for seconds. We'll just wait for like a half second or something. So, incidentally, again, if you're new to Unity, then just note that I had the little F there because it's just a C# thing. It's sort of in Unity, most of the Unity API, all of it, I believe, but I'll hedge for now and just go with most. But most of the commands in Unity's API actually need float values, but if you just do a decimal place, by default, C# will actually create a, forget which value, I think a double. Anyway, it won't be a float value though, so that's why I got to append the little F there to say like, this is a float. So anyway, so that's all I'm doing there. And One thing you can do, although once we get around to the web request, this isn't going to be necessary, but one thing you could do is, you know, or you could, I don't know, var I equals 0, I. So in other words, like I'm going to loop 4 times. You can actually put the yield in a loop and thus have the program like pause at you know, inside of a loop and like debug.log. So this will just display, you know, some sort of console message. So iteration. All right, let's try that. Oh, and then of course I need to actually call it. So that's where another command, start coroutine, comes in. Now, my coroutine. Now, start coroutine, just FYI, that's actually a method of mono behavior. So this is a you know, a C# script. Or I'm sorry, I take it back. This is a Unity specific class, mono behavior. So anyway, and then once I use start coroutine, I throw in my method call. Note, by the way, this isn't just the name of the method. You know, I've actually got the parentheses in there to call it. That's just part of the syntax for how start coroutine works. So anyway, I'm going to put that on the camera now. And now, if we watch down here in the console view, you'll see, you know, yeah, the 4 iterations happening over time. Great, so that's how coroutines work. Now, though, I want to show a. Let me turn off my camera just so that we can focus more on the code itself. I'm going to. Okay, sure. Web request test, why not? I'll throw that on the main camera as well. So at this point, what I can do, I'll just turn off the coroutine test because just turn that one off. No longer care about the coroutine test, but let's look at the web request test. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some code that actually makes a web request, download some data, and you know, you can see how that works. Now, incidentally, you know, this of course implies that I have some data to download. So this is where there's a website called Open Weather Map, which I'm going to be getting weather data from. Incidentally, there's this website, Programmable Web, which just lists all kinds of APIs that you could connect to, but I'm going to be connecting to Open Weather Map. Now, as the way Open Weather Map works here, let me just actually just bring up Chrome as a matter of fact, just to find it. Open Weather Map. There we go. All right. So you go to this website, and you could, you know, sign up for. They have paid accounts, of course. Like if you're going to be hitting their API a lot to gather lots of weather data. However, just for testing purposes, they do offer free, you know, account access, free level of account access. So that's what we're using. I ahead of time created just sort of like a little testing account, you know, a little throwaway where just so that I can use it for the stream. And oh, whoops. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Tested. API keys. So when you have an account there, you're going to be given what's called an API key. That's how Open Weather Map, when you're making your requests, you have to provide them with this API key, and that's how they're tracking, like, how much data you're using, that kind of thing. So anyway, you can see though that in their little API documentation, here's what the API call looks like. So we're just going to copy that, and over here we're just going to say like string, URL. All right. Now obviously I gotta change API key there to, well, the value of my API key, and then meanwhile I had to put in a city. In my case, because I live near Chicago, I just I put in Chicago just for this test. So all right, let me just copy the API key, and there we go. All right, great. Now then, here I need to numerator let me see how. Oh, actually, wait, that's right. It's a separate namespace. I forgot about that. So up here, I'm just going to Unity Engine networking. The main Unity Engine namespace, that gives you access to the majority of Unity's API, but in our case, there are a few additional namespaces. Some parts of the API exist under, and web requests are one of them. So here we need to have this Unity Engine.networking namespace. So anyway, now that I've done that, I can do Unity. There we go. And I'm going to do get URL. All right. Now, if I yield on the request send. So there's actually a just request.send method, but you'll notice it's marked as deprecated. So we're not going to use that one. So we use the request.send web request, and now in this case, then debug.log request dot download handler.txt. Oh, interesting. The whole concept of download handlers are kind of a weird thing. Basically, because your web request can return different kinds of data, not necessarily. Usually, when we're making our web requests, we're going to be getting text. That's the main thing we're going to be doing. But sometimes you make requests to get images. That's a separate download handler. It's handling downloaded image data. There's also this Unity specific thing referred to as asset bundles, where you can have all of your assets in Unity packaged together into a bundle and download that. That would also have a separate download handler. It's just to handle asset bundles. So anyway, that's what's going on here. And finally, I'm going to do start coroutine again and call API. And let's check it out. So all right, so you can see the request was made. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys can hear my kids downstairs, but they're making a lot of noise right now. So I don't know if that's audible in the stream or not, but gotta love kids. So, all right, you can see a whole bunch of data got returned by making that API call, by making that web request. So at this point, you'll notice the formatting of the data is JSON. If you're not already familiar with what JSON is, in short, it's just a way for data to be formatted so that programmatically you can make sense of the data. It's structured you can see how there's a structure to it where it's sort of like the name coordinate contains within brackets like some other data and that kind of thing. Turns out there are multiple ways of formatting data, common ways of formatting data. XML is one of the common ways, and JSON is a very common way, especially these days. Now, C# can handle XML just out of the box. JSON, to parse that data, you actually need to have some sort of external library of JSON functionality. Unity itself does come with a JSON parser. However, Unity's included JSON parser, it's called JSON utility. I'm not a huge fan of, mostly because it's less flexible than other options. The option I tend to prefer is what's called JSON.net. That's a pretty common package that C# developers will be familiar with. In order to use it within Unity, however, the sort of like the stock JSON.net, it's made by this Newtonsoft, but anyway, the stock JSON.net doesn't work in Unity. Even though it's a C# library. So there are a number of different projects which have sort of like essentially ported it to work within Unity. One such project is the one I'm using right now. Just on GitHub, there's this open source JSON.net for Unity. So we're going to use this. You'll notice under the install directions, there are a number of different options that it lists for how you would install it. Probably the best option is this one here, installation via UPM. UPM stands for Unity Package Manager. Doing it this way, admittedly, is a little bit it involves a bit of just sort of manipulation of a text file directly, which is fine. I'll just do that right now. So, all right. So I just navigated to the project directory on my computer. This is just when I was creating a new project. This is where the new project got saved to. What you'll notice, though, a Unity project is, it's a folder full of, other folders. And one of those other folders is packages here. Now, within the packages directory there is this manifest.json. And so I opened up my manifest.json in a text editor. In my case, I use BBEdit, but that's a Mac thing. On Windows, I'd probably be using Notepad++ or something like that. But anyway, just open it in a text editor. So, all right, now what the installation directions are saying to do are to just sort of like insert these lines. So first off, that added dependency adds a package. It's not going to work right though unless we also add this scoped registry section. Now, I don't have time right now to go into detail about how the Unity package manager works. I encourage you though to, if you're curious what the hell this stuff is about, then just, Google it, Google UPM and read the documentation about that stuff. So anyway, now that I have that, go back to my project view. Importing a scope to registry. Great, thank you. That's what I wanted to do. So, oops. All right. Under here, within Unity, if I open up the packages, you'll notice there's an entry now for JSON.NET for Unity. Great. All right. So now I'm going to use that with the data that we downloaded. All right, so now first step is to add yet another namespace. In this case, it's the namespace for JSON.NET, which is, again, because it's a Newtonsoft product, it's the namespace is using Newtonsoft.json. Now, I'm using something referred to as JSON link. It's similar to, the sort of like the more standard C# link. It's just, well, specific to JSON. The other way of using JSON.NET would be in a way that you sort of like define an object ahead of time, a class ahead of time, and then at the parser will actually like populate that class with the data you downloaded. That's a little more complicated than I want to deal with right now, though. And so that's where this sort of JSON link. Incidentally, the var keyword, even though that's what I often prefer to use, just for clarity, I'm going to write out the types actually. So JObject. And again, the specific commands I'm typing now to use JSON.NET, I just encourage you to look up documentation online about JSON.NET so that you know how parsing works in it. Because I mean, because it's such a standard library used in C#, there's going to be lots of people asking about it on like Stack Overflow and all kinds of stuff like that. So Newton soft JSON. There we go. And you can see the very first hit is, just it's the JSON.NET, and it's got all this documentation. And like I said, if you have specific questions, then you can just Google in, and you're gonna get lots of Stack Overflow hits anyway. So anyway, so all right. Now, incidentally, I'm not just some genius who remembered all this. I have some notes that I'm referring to right over here. But the JSON data that Open Weather Map returns includes within the JSON this section for data about basically how cloudy the area is. So, and then within clouds, there's float. Oops. Well, you know what, actually. We're going to write out both the entire JSON block, but also just this cloud value that we've extracted out of it. All right. Now let's see what happens there. So you can see this is the entire JSON blob that was returned, and if you look at it closely over here, there's this clouds value, and then it says the cloudiness is at 75. Now, because that's 75 out of 100, it's a percentage. I divided it by 100 to get 0.75. There we go. So that, in a nutshell, is how to parse data. And actually, the time is up, so I'm not even going to get around to posting anything. But that's not much harder to do. Posting, basically, when you're doing the Unity web request here, then you would do like Unity web request.post. And then in that case, you would be passing it not only what URL to post to, but also what data to post to that URL. But anyway, obviously, chapter 10 of my book goes a lot further than this, and it actually covers how to post data, and it covers how to download images, that kind of thing. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about how Unity works, then again, I encourage you to go to this website here, manning.com/books/unity-in-action-3rd-edition. Unity in Action 3rd edition, dashes, at manning.com. And the discount code there is WatchHocking40. So you can get access to the book. You can get access to this great information. All right. So thanks for watching.